So thank you for your patience with me tonight, and we'll go ahead and start the program. So the program is Awesome Websites, create an attention-grabbing portfolio website. So note that all suggestions and tips are my opinions from years of experience as an artist and gallerist, as well as from input and feedback from other art professionals, such as gallery owners and art organization executives. And as we all know, there is no one way to do anything, so you may choose to do things in a different way if you think they are best for you and your particular situation. So what makes for an awesome artist portfolio website? So I put together these things. There's eye-catching images, and why that's important is gallerists have told me if they go to an artist website, they look at the home page, and if there's not an eye-catching image that captures their attention, they're just going to leave and not go and look at the rest of the website. Also, a simple design, because you want the artwork and the text to really speak for itself. So you don't want complicated designs to interfere with that. Easy to navigate, that's really important. I've gone to artist websites and I don't know how to get around or to get off of a page. An artist statement to share the artist's vision. That's really important to understand. Not everybody can make sense out of what they're looking at. So having an artist statement can really help people understand. Okay, all the necessary information easily found and the contact information readily available. So those are all things that make for a great portfolio website. So your artist portfolio website is basically your introduction to the world. This is the first place that people look to see if they want to go forward with acquiring your artwork. Gallerists, collectors, potential buyers look online to verify your history and credentials as an artist, as well as to learn more about your work. It's come to be an expected part of the artist business. And if I'm at a gallery or an exhibition and I see a piece that I'm interested in, the first thing I do is get my smartphone out, go to the artist's website and look at their exhibit history and learn a little bit more about them. And I look at their images to make sure that they consistently make good quality work and that the piece that I'm looking at is not just a quirk. Do you have a website is usually the first question that a gallery asks if they're interested in your artwork. So gallerists look for a website that is user-friendly, simple, and direct. And I always use an art gallery owner as the benchmark of what an artist should do. So I go by their recommendations. Every page should have only one purpose. So you shouldn't have multiple things going on one page. A good artist website is like a gallery or a museum. The artwork can't be stacked up, overpopulating the walls. You need to give each item some space, whether it's artwork or text. It needs space to breathe. So these are the basic pages that are on an artist's website. You should have a home page. You should have a portfolio page. And on the portfolio page, I like to see the artist statement, as well as a separate image for each series or collection. Then you go to an actual portfolio series page after that. We'll go into that in more detail. You should have a bio page. And on the bio page, you should have your artist bio and resume and a photo of you. And if you have an extensive exhibit history, you can have a separate page for exhibit history. And then you should have a contact page. And you can also have additional pages like for blog, news, events, etc. So let's talk about the home page. The number one thing that gallerists tell me about artist websites is the home page needs to have an image of your best current work to capture our attention. So you see in the diagram below, there's the menu, there's a large horizontal space, and that's where you would have your image. So if you, like I do square work, so I can't put just a small square in the middle of that. So I usually have 3 or 4 pieces across my homepage so they can see a variety of the different series, the different types of work that I make. So that's very important. If they go to an artist's website and they see an image that doesn't interest them, as I said before, they're not going to go any further. You should have a menu bar, and depending on your platforms, some platforms have the menu bar down the side, but I feel that the menu bar at the top works easiest, and it gives you more room width-wise for your images. You should have an image icon for each of your major pages. So you'll see that there's a square image with the words below. At the bottom of the diagram, there's portfolio, bio, exhibitions, and contact. So you can have an image. So if it's a bio, it's a picture, a photo of you in your studio. An exhibition is your artwork on display. Contact would be an image of maybe a portrait image of you. The portfolio icon would be an image of your artwork. Okay. So before we go any further, that's just a really basic explanation of the website. Do you have any questions? Raise your hands. I'd be happy to answer any questions before we go further into more detail. Let's see, Diana, you have your hand up. Go ahead and unmute yourself.
There we go. So if you don't really have a professional website yet and you're in the process or would like to in the future develop one, what if you don't have some of the elements? For example, I have never had an exhibit anywhere. So
Okay, so you don't
would
have an exhibit history yet?
No.
Okay, so I would still put together the website, because every step that you take, it takes time to do, and you build upon what you already have. So you go ahead and lay out the pages, and you may not have content for every page, but you lay out the pages, and then you start loading the content, loading the images. Exhibition history, if you don't have any at all, I would just leave it off. And then I'd work on building that up. So you can join local or regional art organizations, and they always have members exhibitions, or you can enter juried exhibitions where a juror will select from all the art submitted that's related to the theme. And those two ways are the easiest ways and the fastest ways to start building up your exhibition history.
What if you don't really care to do an exhibit anywhere and you want to create a website that is direct sale type of thing?
That's more of a shop than a portfolio. Okay.
Okay.
So what I'm talking about tonight is a portfolio website. So
Okay.
you can create a shop website that's a retail, but you could also have a portfolio website with a shop page on it. And you can have retail on that shop page, as well as all the other things that one would expect on the Artist Network. I have two websites, and I have one for my fine art, and it's a portfolio website, and then I have one that for my what I call commercial art that celebrates San Francisco and California and different places, and that is set up as a retail shop. So I have pages for each series that you can click on and buy right then and there, and I can ship the prints out to the people. So you can either do a separate one or you could combine the two.
I see. Thank you for answering, because I wondered if it, like how you've done it, having separate, for your fine work and then your more commercial.
Yeah, so what I do two different subject matters altogether. So I have separate websites, but if it's all one subject matter, you can have it all on one page.
Okay.
Okay, thanks for your question. Okay, so we'll go ahead and Caroline, you raise your hand so I can see you.
Sorry, I should raise my electronic hand. I was curious if you were familiar with the FASO platform, the bold brush.
Only from what our other artists have used, and they show me.
Yeah, that's the site that another artist recommended it to, who'd used Weebly and some of the others, and so that's what I'm using. And they have templates, so there's certain things that are easy to do and other things that are a little more.
Yeah, and what I like about Weebly is I can do a blank page and then just drag everything in there. I can drag a title, I can then drag an image, and I can put the words next to that, and I can arrange it in any way that I want. So I use basically a blank template and then create the pages and then copy those pages once I create the basic outline. So I prefer Weebly because it allows me to do anything that I want and organize. I spent the entire day today on Weebly, setting up multiple pages for my upcoming Chicago art and food tours. And I could just, it just was so easy. I could just drag this in, put this here. Once I set up the basic, I just copied that page for 5 different times and then loaded the information, and it was.
So it's kind of like doing a PowerPoint, only it's a website.
Yeah, I guess that's a good explanation and a good analogy.
Is Squarespace similar to that?
So Squarespace owns Weebly. So if you do an account with Squarespace, you can either set up a Squarespace website, which would be a retail store, or you can set up a Weebly website, which is more like a portfolio paid website, but you can do retail on the Weebly if you want to.
If you want to, because Faso has commercial, shopping built in, and newsletters and everything else built in. But they now have a deal with Squarespace, so you can do both with them. I don't quite understand how it works, but they have a deal with them now because they were losing artists to them, and artists liked both platforms and wanted to be able to do both. So.
Yeah, I find just from working with you and other artists that Faso just doesn't do everything you want. I want to do easily, and it's difficult and challenging to do it. And, I'd rather have something that's simple and easy to do. Okay, so let's go ahead and resume the presentation. Thank you for your questions and comments. Okay, so, I showed you the homepage. So this is the portfolio page, and it can be called portfolio, or some people call it gallery, or other people call it collections. I think portfolio is the most professional and, again, oriented towards what a gallerist or somebody in the art world, they would be looking for your portfolio of your artwork. And so on this page, your portfolio should be organized into a series in a way that makes sense by theme or subject matter. Some people break it up by media or by year, but I think by theme or subject matter works best. And you can have an image linked to each series to entice visitors to click and view. So you can see in this diagram, there's 3 different series. So you'd have an image of one piece of artwork from each of the 3 series, and then you'd have the name of the series below that. And then all somebody has to do is click on the image, and it would take them to that page for that series and see all the images. I also like to have the umbrella artist statement on the page as well. The images are most important, so they would go first, and then the artist statement below that. So that's your umbrella statement that covers your entire body of work. Then you would have a series statement, an artist statement for each individual series on the series pages. So here's an example of a series page. So it would have thumbnail images of pieces in the series. And again, when I ask gallerists how many pieces should be on a page, they tell me 10 to 20 images per page. And I ask why, and they say, we should see at least 10 pieces so we get a really good idea of what the series is about, and see that you can create quality work in numbers. And more than 20 gets to be too many on a page. So I asked them, once you have the thumbnail, you click on each image to get a larger view. And you can have detailed images of your work, like different sides or close-ups or in C2. And you need to have all the relevant piece information, the title, the medium, the year, the price. And a lot of artists have started adding a short description about the piece. So for example, I included a yellow pipe in this painting because my grandfather had one like this, and it brings me back to that quiet, special time. Okay, so on the series page, you can have the artist statement for each series. And here I like to have, usually the art series statement is shorter. So here I like to have it at the top. So you read the series statement, so you know what to expect from this series, and then you have the images. And you can link to a separate page to see additional works in this series. So if you have 40 or 60 pieces in the series, then you might put 20 on the main page, and then below you have the words, click here to see additional works. And then if somebody wants to see more pieces, they can go to that page. And then you can link to a separate page to see sold works. So again, you can see at the bottom, it says click here to see sold works. So never mix sold and available pieces on the same page. It's very frustrating. I've had this happen to myself, and gallerists have shared with me how frustrating and difficult it is as well. You go to an artist's website, you're putting together a show, you see 3 pieces that you think would be perfect to include in the exhibition. You contact the artist and they say, oh, well, 2 of those are sold. Well, then what is the gallerist going to do? Go back to the website and search some more? Usually they say, well, then no, thank you. So it just shuts them down. Or if I want to buy a piece and there's a piece that I just love, and then below it, I see the word sold and it's not available, then I'm not going to buy any of the other pieces because that's the piece that I love the most. So it's psychological and also logistically challenging if you mix sold and available pieces on the same page. Okay, so we're going to view some examples of artist websites now. So let me go ahead and come back to the meeting. So this is the Star Fine Artist Network website, and anybody has access to this. And you can see that under the word more, there's resources. So if you click on resources, you see there's a table of contents, and the very last item is artist portfolio website examples. So you can scroll all the way down to the bottom, and this is available for you to look at any time. So if you're updating your website or creating a new website, you can look at other artists' websites. So let's look at a few here. So this is Suzanne Fraser, and you'll see her website has an image that's really strong. Let me just zoom out a little bit and so we can see more of her website. So she has her name, her menu at the top, and there's an image here. And if you scroll down a little bit, she has a little bit of information about a show that she's in. So we can go to paintings, and she has different series of paintings. So let's click on one, targets, and here's different images of her targets, and each one has a title, medium, and size. And if we see one that we like, I try to click on it. It doesn't get any larger, so that's as large as it gets. So there's a limitation there. Let's look at her etchings. So here is weavings. So let's look at that. And again, it's a scroll, and here's a group of 16 as one piece. So you scroll and look at the pieces, but I can't click on it to make it larger to see it in more detail. She has a process page. So she has a special printing process that she uses, and she actually has a video that you can watch. She has an about page, has a picture of her, also a picture of her working, and then her bio, her brief statement, and her resume. Okay, so let's go to the next one. This is Beverly Patterson. So Beverly has 3D work. So here is her 3D work page. So she has a brief statement about the 3D artwork series. She has 5 different series. She has the title under each one. So let's say we want to look at geometric tiles. We click on that, and there's a statement about this specific series. She does 3D work, so she has images of the work. There's 5 different images, so you can see it from the side or at an angle or straight on. So she has each piece set up that way. If I'm interested in one in particular, I click on that, and I can see it larger. Okay, so here's her portfolio page that we just looked at. And let's go ahead and look at the next artist. This is Anka Brown. Anka Brown has a homepage. She has 3 different images. Here's her series page. You click on the series, and then she has the 8 different series that she's created. We can click on one, and it takes us to her page. So this is, I know her, this is her brand new series. So she only has 3 pieces. But if you click on that, you get a larger version of it. So this brings up an issue that when I've talked to gallerists, I've asked them, because a lot of artists ask me the same question. If I have artwork that's different shapes and sizes on my series page, do I show images of those, all the different shapes and sizes, or should I have them all the same shape? And then when you click on the image, then you see the actual shape of the piece. So I've asked the gallerists that, and they say they feel that it's much easier for them to view the work when there's a unified shape, all squares or all rectangles on the page. So Anka has done that. She also, because it's 3D work, she created a little slideshow that you can see how 3D it is. You can see that there's threads involved, etc. Okay, so let's go to another artist website. This is Carrie Ann Plank. And so she has on her homepage, she has a video showing her process. Then she has a statement about the process. Then she has her portfolio page. And so she has different series. So there's the intercession rounds, but I can't see the title of the series unless I put my cursor over it. But then when I have my cursor over it, I can't see the images very well. So I really don't like this process. So when you go to this website, you just see one of each image, and you scroll and you scroll and you scroll and you scroll, and you get tired of scrolling, and you probably don't go all the way down to the bottom because look how long it is. So that kind of makes you not want to look at the piece, look at all the series. So having one image on each page for each series set up in a grid like Beverly or Anka did makes it so much easier. So here's one of her series, and you can see there's a lot of pieces. I click on one, I get a larger view, and then there's information about it. Now I can see there's previous and next, so I can click on next, or I can go to the previous one, and I can navigate that way. Okay, if I want to leave, this is an example of, I don't know how to get out of this page. I don't see an X. I don't see the word back. I don't know how to get away from this page. So that is a challenge. Okay, let's look at another artist, Joanne Coulter. So here is her name, her image of her artwork that's very representative of what she does. This is her homepage. Then she has a gallery page. And you notice that when I put my cursor over the word gallery, the different series names come up. So I can either navigate from the images or navigate from the menu. So I can go to landscapes from the menu and look at her pieces. And here she has an image of each piece. And then I have an arrow, and I can scroll through and look at all the pieces, or I can close it because there's an X in the upper corner, and I can pick and choose. So this is a way that gallerists look at artwork. They'll go to a series and go, oh, I really like these pieces. Oh, this one really appeals to me. Yeah, I like that one. I think I want to include that in a show. So let's look and see. This one has colors similar to that. Let me look at that. Yeah, I like that one too. I might want to have those two. Let's see if there's any others that I feel would go along with that. So they just kind of scroll and look at the image, and if it appeals to them, they'll click on it and look at it larger. Oh, these colors are lighter. No, this I don't think would fit with the other two. I think I'm going to contact the artist and invite her to put these two pieces in the show. Okay, so that's an example. Let's go to another artist website, Janie. And this is Jane Ewan Courage. And she has, again, on her homepage, she has her different series But once again, you have to put your cursor over the image. So let's go and look at one. These are her 12 by 12s. And so she has 9 different pieces in this series. I can click on each one and see it. I can click on it and it gets a little larger. Okay, so now I want to go back. I don't see an arrow. I don't see an X. I don't see anything that will allow me to go back. So I have to click on my back page, click on it again, click on it again before I can get to the series page. So that's a bit of a challenge there as well. Okay, let's look at another artist website. We're looking at a lot of websites so you can see. This is Sylvia Piloto, and she has an image of her working on her artwork. And this is a show that, or a slideshow, it keeps changing quickly. So one reason I don't like this, and gallerists have told me they don't like this, is they see an image. Oh, this is great. I love that yellow there. Wait, I was looking at that. It disappeared. Wait, how do I get back to it? That's the one I'm interested in. And now I have to watch this whole show to see if I can get back to the piece that I liked. So this is kind of challenging. Okay, let's look at her portfolio page. So she has images of her work on display for each series. So let's just look at one. Here's Wonderland. And here's an image. And here's the other images. And we can scroll and we see it's a nice grid pattern, easy to look at. I can click on one. It gets larger. There's an arrow on each side, so I know how to navigate. There's an X that I can close. So this is an easy site to navigate through. It just was challenging because I wanted to look at that one image on that home page. Let's look at another one here. This is Lori. Okay, and Lori has something similar. She has images that change on her website homepage, and then we look at her work. So she has different series. So she has 4 different series. There's the image and the title for each series. There's a brief artist statement. Then you can scroll down and see the images, and you can see how awkward this is, that some of the pieces are square, some are long and horizontal. It's just kind of awkward. And then there's this big empty space here, and then there's more pieces here, and it just doesn't look as good as a full grid. Let's look at see artwork and home. So she put a link to another page so you can see images of her artwork in different settings in people's homes and a living room. Most of these are living rooms. There's a dining room. This really is helpful for people. The general public, they have a hard time envisioning what artwork will look like in their home. So having a separate page or a slideshow like that is really helpful. This is Janet Jacobs. She has a single image on her homepage. She has an art page. She has 3 different series, paintings from Sweden. There's a brief statement about this, and here's the images of her artwork. Very easy, again, to navigate and look at her work. And there's one more here, and then we'll go back to the meeting. Janet Jones, and she has a variety of work that she does. So she has multiple images on her homepage, so you get an idea of her work. She has different galleries, and so her galleries are separated by the dates. So selected new works, 2019 to 2020. And here's other series. So it's kind of awkward to have 2 different portfolio pages that are separated out like that. So here, she does beautiful work. These are all collages. But what would be great is if I could click on Gallery 1 and see one image from each series. So she does beautiful work, but unfortunately, you can't see an overview of all her pieces. And I think that makes it difficult. If I was a gallerist, I would not be able to take the time to click on each page in all these different series and see what she's doing. It would be making me feel like, nah, I'm just not going to take time to look at that. Okay, any questions about the websites we just looked at? Okay, Diana?
So do you believe then it's your feeling that when they show the series shots, it's better to have a caption or the copy below the image
Below,
rather than
yes.
on
I don't
top?
want it
Okay.
over the image. I want it below the image so I
Below.
can see the image and how beautiful
Exactly.
artwork is. And then right there is the information, the title. The size is really important because on a screen, it might look like it's only 3 inches by 3 inches, but it's 20 inches by 20 inches or 48 inches by 48 inches. So the
So the
size is so
title and the
important.
size would be the most important elements under
Yeah,
each.
the title, the medium, and the size. And also, you know, different people use so many different type of media. So
Mhm.
it's really important to be able to share what the media is. I don't think it's really important to put the date. You
Okay.
know, usually a lot of artists put the year, and I just don't think that that's necessary.
Great, thank you.
Okay, sure. Any other questions? Raise your hand. Okay, Louise, go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question.
Yeah, thank you. I can't find the little hand on my iPad.
Okay, well, if you just put your hand up and wave it, move it, I can see you.
All right, great, thank you.
Okay.
And so I have a question. So everything you've shown so far, or most everything you've shown so far, has no frames around them. So can you talk a little bit about that? Because that can really throw things off.
Okay, so that is a good notice or good observation. Most artwork on websites are shown only the artwork and no frame. And the frame, if you have a certain way of framing your artwork, like all the pieces are framed a certain way, you might have one image of one piece with the frame so people can see what the frame looks like. And then all the other images are just the artwork itself. And why is it? Galleries have found that a lot of people don't necessarily like the frame that the piece comes with. And so the frame might actually detract from the piece. So putting it on the website without a frame lets the person just see the raw piece, the beauty of the piece itself. And some people who buy artwork at a gallery will have the gallery remove the frame, and then they take their artwork to a framer and have a frame that they want. So especially if it's a painting, you could put it on stretched canvas, and they can actually sell it without a frame. And then also different series that artists do. Sometimes they frame this one series with a big mat, another series with a black mat, and another series with a thin mat, and they're all different. And that can be confusing. So it's, I guess, the purity of seeing just the image without the frame interfering with the experience. Does that answer your question? Okay, thanks for asking a good question. Caroline, you have another question? Go ahead and unmute yourself.
I'm thinking that for three-dimensional artwork like what I have, it's really critical to show the dimensions.
Right.
My website is only for glasswork, so I talk about just glasswork, but so the medium, but and I do have how I made this section, but it makes sense that having that, and you're saying that the preference is to have that information below, not to the side or whatever.
Well, it's just easier. Just most websites are set up a certain way. And then when a website is set up separately, then you have to kind of readjust to the layout. So it's easy. Now I've looked at your website and you have your image, and then to the side, you have all the information, and that works.
Yeah,
That's not a problem. But if you're going to have a grid of 16 images, I'd like to have the title underneath each one,
yeah,
and
that
maybe the
makes sense.
size. And then you click on it and it gets larger and has more information.
Yeah,
Does that answer your question?
yes, it does, because I do work in other media, and if I have a gallery or a series of the other media, then I would have a different, I'd have an option to set it up
Yeah,
differently.
and
That
it can be confusing because, you know, a lot of artists, they do work in different sizes, and they might work in 5 different sizes within one series. And then when I'm looking at a grid of them, they all look like the same size. but this
Right.
one's 6 by 6. This one's 12 by 12. This one's 20 by 20. This is 24 by 24. So it's really important to know that this is small,
Yeah.
this is larger, this is very large, etc.
Yeah. And what is your feeling about, like, only one of the sites we were seeing had the in situ pictures in the room pictures?
Again, I actually think it's helpful. But I like to have it as a separate page or a separate, I know one artist that has a website and they just have a little slideshow at the bottom. You click on the image and it pops up. So you could do that, but I think having it, like she did, on a separate page, click here to view, images of artwork in
Or
home.
in the rooms? Yeah, that's
Yeah. And
interesting.
it's called in situ.
In
And
situ, yeah.
and I like to not just do the home, but in a lobby, in an office,
Yeah,
in a
I'm much more
hotel
interested in that. Yeah,
room,
yeah.
in a variety of different commercial settings as well.
That-
Okay,
Thank you.
okay, so we'll resume the presentation. Thank you for your great questions. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the written material related to your images. So we're going to talk about the artist statement. So your artist statement is your mission statement. This is your opportunity to fully discuss your personal beliefs, influences, motivations, and purpose in making artwork. So gallerists look to this to learn about your work and know what insights they will be able to share with their clients. So it's really important for them to talk to their clients and talk about your artwork and your process and who you are and your education, etc. So a well-written artist statement can be an important tool in selling your work to potential clients, especially when they're not there in person. So an artist statement can be as creative as your work. It doesn't have to be one way. You can write it in different ways, but I'm going to talk about the preferred standard way. So an artist statement should include information about the style of work that you create and the materials you use, so the public can understand that. It should include why you create this type of art and what led you to your career as an artist. You can include where you find your inspiration, which other artists or movements influence your work. You can share what your intentions are for the work and what you want viewers to experience when they look at your artwork as well. And you can explain to them why you made the choices in your work. Why did you choose black and white? Why did you choose silver metallic? Why did you choose tall, narrow scale and shapes? Okay. So your artist statement, you should write an umbrella artist statement for your entire body of work. And then you should write an artist statement for each individual series. And I suggest that you write your artist statement in the first person. These are my feelings. This is what I want you to see. This is what influenced me. In the first person, it's personal. Always have someone else proofread for content and grammar. Do they understand your message? So that's really important before you publish an artist statement, that you have somebody else that you trust to look at that and make sure that everything's correct and is understandable. Okay. And I do actually do a 2-hour program on how to write an artist statement. So as you know, writing an artist statement is not very easy, but it was just an overview. Any questions about the artist statement before we move on? Okay, so we'll go ahead and resume. Okay, now we're going to talk about your bio page. So on your bio page, it should include a photo of you, as you can see in the example below. This goes a long way in humanizing you in a digital world. Include a headshot at minimum. Also consider pictures of you working in your studio and at your exhibitions. What I love most as a gallerist when I go to artist websites is seeing them in their studio, in their workspace, actually working. And that just gives me so much more information. And it just reinforces that they're an active artist. Okay. On your bio page, you can have an artist resume. And then you also have a bio. There's 2 different things. So we're going to talk about the resume first. An artist resume should give the reader a sense of who you are. A resume is written in a list format. So it's a list of things in reverse chronological order and can include headings such as personal, which is not used very much anymore, education, exhibition history, awards, residencies, press, teaching experience, affiliations, and related experience. So any of those that are appropriate, you can include. You don't have to include all of them. Your artist resume should be straightforward and comprehensive, free of any personal theories or beliefs. Only include employment history if it is pertinent to your artwork or your artist career. If you were a biologist in early life and your work currently, your artist art explores things that are related to biology, then you can mention your employment history. If you are an emerging artist, you may want to list your achievements as a student as well. So I go to a lot of artist websites and I see that they haven't been updated in several years. We looked at one just tonight, and the last entry was 2020. So what happened in the last 4 years? So you should keep your resume up to date. You always want to keep it up to date with the art training or education, your exhibition history, any prominent collectors, awards, publications, or any teaching experience that you might have. And then you have your exhibition history. That's part of your resume. If you have a large exhibition history, then you can put it on a separate page. So I've been making artwork and showing and selling artwork since I was in junior high school. So I have a very extensive exhibition history, and I don't go back all the way. I basically go back to in the last 15 years, and I mentioned a few things that are earlier. So you can place your exhibition history on a separate page if you have a large number, or it could be part of your resume. Use a consistent standard format for each entry. So every entry has the same format. So these are examples. You put the title first, the type of exhibition, the name of the venue, the city, the state, the month, and the year. So we have the tiny group exhibition at Studio Gallery in San Francisco, California, December 2019. Now, sometimes it can get a little weird and awkward. So the next one is one of those. It's the Berkeley Art Center 2020 Artist Annual Exhibition. So that's the name of the show. It's at the Berkeley Art Center in Berkeley, California, January. So there's Berkeley Art Center listed twice, Berkeley listed 3 times. So it's kind of redundant, okay? If you apply to national or regional juried shows or local juried shows, I like adding the name of the juror. So here's Chaos National Juried Exhibition at Art Gallery in San Francisco in 2020. And the juror was Betty Sue Hertz. And she at the time was the director of visual arts at the Yerba Buena Center for the Arts in San Francisco. Very prestigious position. She was the director of a major art venue. So having the name of the juror and their credentials enhances that listing on the resume. And then if you participate in the same thing over and over again, like the Los Angeles Art Association Jury Auctions, 2015 to 2019, instead of listing each one separately, 2015, 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, and it's like you're padding your resume, it's easier just to put 2015 to 2019. So that's an example as well. Okay, so I like to break up my exhibit history listings by different categories so you can organize them by headings. And I always put the most prestigious category first. So if you're in a museum permanent collection, you list that first. In your corporate collection, you list that second. Or if you're not in any collections, but you've had a one-person exhibition, that would be the first category. Two-person exhibitions, juried exhibitions, recent group exhibitions, benefit auctions, gallery representation, and art consultants. So I listed in the order that I feel that it's most important. Okay, and then besides the resume, there's the artist biography. So your biography should be a brief statement of who you are as a person and an artist. And I believe it should be written in the third person from an objective point of view, like somebody else wrote about you, somebody with authority wrote about you. And there, again, there's a psychology to that. And that's pretty standard, is that a biography is written in the third person. You can describe where you're from, any relevant education, training, or experience you've had, something unique about yourself. You can include your current work and goals. So those are appropriate to include in a biography. You can include a few important factual highlights of your education or exhibits, awards, or art-related experience. My work is in the permanent collection of the Riverside Art Museum, so that's on my resume, but I also highlight that in my biography. You may include a photograph of yourself to make the biography more personal and put a face to your name. Okay, you can also, on your website, create a page designed for art consultants. So you can create a page on your website for art consultants and interior designers, sharing that commissions are welcome with specifics about the process and any details about pricing, deposits, timing, shipping, etc. And in the PDF file, I have these two hot links. So when you get the file, you can click on the hot link and it'll take you to the pages that are examples of working with design professionals. Okay, so let's look at some more artist websites. We're going to look at their about pages and bio pages. So I'm going to share the Artist Network website page. So let's go to Chuck Potter. And we're going to, again, we're specifically looking for his resume and biography. So here's his resume. And he has a really nice photo of him, but it's him with a cat. And that's what does he paint cats? Like, to me, that has nothing to do with his artwork. I'd rather see a picture of him in his studio making art than a picture of him with his pet. So he includes personal information, also representation where his work is shown, his education. And again, you'll notice it's in reverse order by year. And the year and always goes at the end. Awards and honors, publications, teaching experience. He does a lot of teaching. He's a member of a lot of organizations, or has been in the past. So what's important about a resume and a bio to gallerists? When I've asked them that, they say, well, you know, we're not really interested in each individual listing that you have an MFA or that you are in a museum collection. What's of interest to us is that you're demonstrating that you're a serious artist, that you're active, that this is your career, so that you're a member of several organizations, that you've taught, or that you've been included in publications, you've won awards, you've taken classes. Those things are what's important to us. Let's look at the contact page here. Also, here's, he has get in touch, here's his name, his studio location in Crockett, California. It actually includes his phone number, email, and the website. And then he has a link to his Singular gallery. So, you know, you wouldn't believe how many artist websites I go to their contact page and they don't state what city or state that they're located in. Are they here or are they somewhere across the country? Here is Usha, and let's look at her about page. So she actually has, this is taking a while to load. Oh, I have to click on about, okay. So this is her, where her artist statement is, and she has a video that describes her and shows her process, because she does a unique process. She has a biography here, and then we can click on CV. And people ask me, what's the difference between a CV and a biography? So a CV is a more comprehensive document, whereas this a biography, or excuse me, a resume. A resume is a little shorter and actually more appropriate for artists. So it includes education, awards, gallery representation, corporate collections, so it's exhibitions, etc. And you can see she has quite a large one. She has a bibliography, affiliations, private collections. So people ask me about it. Do I include all the people who bought art from me? Well, you know, if I go to a website and I see Reem Manhrat in Pleasanton, California, I have no idea who that person is. I don't know if that's a relative of the artist or the neighbor of the artist or the owner of a major gallery or a major or business. So if they're names of people that don't mean anything to the general public, I don't think it's important. But if it's, I'm just trying to think of a name that's politically correct. If it's Jon Stewart, the actor and comedian, or it's a politician like Gavin Newsom, someone that people will recognize, then I think it's worth including. But listing all these names, honestly, it means nothing to me. Okay, and here, oh, here's that Stephen C. Wagner. Who is that guy? So here's, I'm showing you my exhibition page. So here's the museum permanent collections, the corporate collections, the private collections. Here's Andy Camponi. She's the museum manager and curator of the Lancaster Museum of Art and History. And here's Julia Wintner, and she's the coordinator of Gallery and Museum Services at the Eastern Connecticut State University. So I don't just put some names out there. These are people that are important in the art world. And so I give their credentials and location, et cetera, to make it worthwhile. Here's one-person exhibitions, juried exhibitions. Again, you can see I list, here's juror Jeff Nathanson, the executive director of the Museum Sonoma County. There's recent group exhibitions. You can see there's quite a few. They go back to 2005. Exhibitions at Art Gallery. I was the managing partner of Art Gallery. I participated in a lot of the exhibitions there. So I broke it out separately. So if you're a member of an art organization and you participate in maybe 6 of their exhibitions in a year, each year over the last 5 years, you might break that out as well. You can include benefit auctions. So most benefit auctions today are juried. And then the entertainment industry, my artwork was included in a TV show and a movie, and gallery representation, corporate art dealers, awards and honors, and publications. Okay, so so that gives you an overview. So any questions about biography pages or about pages, you can raise your hand. Okay, it's helpful to see all the websites. Yes, okay. So we'll go ahead and resume the presentation. Okay, so the last thing I want to talk about is a contact page. We looked at a couple. So again, I mentioned you should have a photo of you, your studio location, city and state. You don't have to put your address, but if you're in a studio building with other artists, it's helpful to put the name of the studio building. At least have the city and state so people know where you're located. You can include your email address and phone number if you want. Not everybody puts their phone number on their contact page. Some people are concerned about scamming and phishing. So if you list your email address, somebody could capture that and then send you a spam. So you can do a couple things. You can have a break between the first part, a space, and then the @ sign, and then a space, and then the platform. And that way, that's not a usable, readable email address. Also, a lot of people have a contact form that you can sign up for your email list or to send a message. And that way, you're not listing your email, and the email goes directly to you. And you can also include your social media links on the contact page as well. So general observations about website designs, they should have a white background, which is best. You saw on mine, I have black. So that's an example that you don't have to do everything one way. So if you feel that's the best for your artwork to have a colored background or a different design, you can. Menu at the top of the pages are easiest to use and take up less space. And the most important information on a page always go on the top of the page. Icons and buttons are better than text when you want people to click. An icon, you see an image. You go, oh, I love that image. You click on it and it takes you there. Where if you have just the word paintings, well, yeah, that doesn't really stimulate much. It's not very exciting. But an image of a painting will entice people to click. Use simple font designs in legible sizes and dark colors to be able to read easily. I'm finding quite a few websites that it's dark gray on light gray. Well, gray on gray is really hard. And sometimes the font is really small and I can't even read what's on the website. So legible sizes and dark colors is really helpful. And you should have proper photography of your work. So it's good quality photography so people can see exactly what your work looks like. So the lighting needs to be excellent and it needs to be in line. So if it's a painting that's 12 by 12, then you want the corners to be 90-degree angles. You don't want them to be slanted or askew. The more information you provide about yourself and about your artwork. Okay, so any questions about website layout and organization before we get into the other topics? So raise your hand if you have a question. No? Okay, so Caroline was thinking, she's still thinking.
Yeah, it it seems like the most important thing is that it be easily navigable and that somebody who's new on your website can find their way around and can
Yes.
get the information they need.
Yeah, so you
have it-
saw I got stuck on a page and didn't
Yeah.
know how to get out. And I went
Several times, yeah.
and it was just, it's like when that happens to a professional that's has very little time, they just go, never mind, I'm just gonna stop. So that stops people from seeing your artwork.
Yeah, it seems that,
Okay,
and having somebody, maybe have somebody look at your website who has not seen it before and have them comment for you. Because when you're
yes.
close to
So-
it, you don't see everything. I mean, that's,
Yeah, you know, I host portfolio reviews online
Mhm.
each year. So I have one coming up in April that I'm just announcing. And many of the artists have said, you know, the most interesting thing I got out of it was watching how the gallerists navigated through my website. And they thought, I never thought they would look at it that way. And I mean, there's a certain way that gallerists like myself and others, we view a website because we're looking for certain information and we go to certain things first. And so that's really informative to watch how somebody else navigates your website.
yeah, interesting.
Okay,
Thank you.
okay, thanks for your comments. So let's go ahead and resume the presentation. Okay, so the next subject matter is incorporating SEO practices into your website. So that's search engine optimization. That's how to get people to see your website when they go to Google or Bing or any other search engine. So you want to create and implement meta page titles for each page of your site to improve your relevance to appear higher on Google. So these are all things that happen in the background. So you have your website that everybody can see, but there's things behind the curtain that are happening that help improve the visibility of your website. So you want to work to gain links to your website to improve Google trust. So the more links you have on your website, hot links to a gallery or to a school or to another artist or your studio building, the higher visibility it gets. The more links to your website from other people. So a gallery that you're showing at has a link to your website, or a art organization that you're a member has a link to your website. That also improves your visibility. So you want to have links to other people's website on your website, and you want to have links to your website on other people's websites. So that helps build visibility. You should have several pages on your website and add new pages over time. So that's another thing that's interesting, that Google, the more pages you add, the more pages you have, the more activity you add a page, you take out a page, the more changes you make, the higher the visibility. If you leave your website the same for over a year, then the visibility keeps dropping and dropping and dropping. So the more activity that there is on your website, the higher visibility it gets as well. So when you're using keywords, Again, that happens in the, on your page, like your name, your art style, your city. You use it multiple times on a page. So if you are, you do fused glass like Caroline, you can mention fused glass in the introduction. You can mention fused glass in the title. You can have fused glass as a caption for an image. And so the more times you use these keywords on a page, then the higher the visibility. If somebody is going to enter in go to Google and go fused glass, if Caroline has the word fused glass multiple times on her pages, it's going to be more likely that people will find her. And if she only uses it once on each page, it's going to be less visibility. The title, your images to appear on Google searches. Most people do not know this, but if you go into Google and you enter in Golden Gate Bridge, you know, images pop up as well as links. And if you have an image on your website and the title of the image, the title of the digital file is Golden Gate Bridge, and then your name, it's more likely going to pop up than if it's just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 JPEG. So having your name, the title of the piece, even the medium in the title of the digital file that you're going to put onto your website for all your images helps those images appear as well. So these are all simple things that you can do to increase the visibility. So now let's talk about meta keywords. So there are a specific type of meta tag that appears in HTML code of a website page, and they help tell the search engines what the topic of the page is. So meta keywords are distinguished from regular keywords because they appear behind the scenes in the source code of your page rather than on the live visible page itself. Okay, so how do you find those, where to put the meta page? So like on Weebly, there's an SEO link. So you have edit your website, publish your website, SEO, font, etc. You click on SEO, and right there is where you enter in your meta tags. You write in your name, you write in your style, you write in your medium, etc. Okay, so those are just a few things that I've shared with you. There are over 200 factors that Google uses to evaluate the relevance and trust of your website. And here's a hot link if you want to learn more about them. And then you can take action to make your website more visible as well. So you can create your meta page titles. So you use relevant keywords. Like I mentioned, you know, painting, fused glass, California. Keep the most important keywords closer to the front. So as you write down your list of keywords, then rank them in the most important and always put those to the front. Google stops reading after about 110 characters, and that includes letter and spaces. So stay under 110 characters. So when you think about it, it's not very long. So you want to try to pick words that are short, that you're looking for words that people are going to use when they're searching to buy artwork, that are going to send them to your page. So don't repeat words except for human understanding. So it says the glass of the century. So you have to put the word "the" in twice. Okay. Imagine what people would search for if they're looking for you specifically or art like yours. So you can preview what it will look like in Google. So here is a link that you can look at to see when you do put up your meta page titles, what it will look like. Okay, so what are some keywords for your website? So these are some ideas: your name, your city, your style of work, your subject matter, titles of bodies of work, like your series, your titles of the pieces, the word art, the word artist. Those are all things that you could use for keywords in the background to drive people to your page. So if you're looking for more information, here's Google's Keyword Planner tool to get more idea about what people search for. So there's one for the tool and one for the instructions on how to do that. So again, I'm giving you a lot of resources to help you if you want to increase your SEO visibility. So keywords in your website. These are some examples of meta page titles for an artist homepage. Mary Smith, artist and photographer in San Francisco, / city landscape and portrait photos, / view art portfolio. Ann Miller, artist and printmaker in San Francisco, woodblock, comma, etching, and monotype print by Art Online. John Jones, artist and oil painter in Berkeley, abstract expressionist paintings, art for sale. Now, you'll notice several things. There's the vertical slash that appears there. So that helps break it up because you can't use punctuation, but you use that that vertical line that breaks it up. Also, you'll notice that the last section in each one has action. View art portfolio, buy art online, art for sale. Because I may be looking for a painting of the Golden Gate Bridge, and I'll put in Golden Gate Bridge painting for sale, or buy Golden Gate Bridge painting online, or view artist portfolio of Golden Gate Bridge. So these are actions that people type into their search engine, and that'll help bring this up. So when somebody goes to your website, goes to a search engine, and they search and your website pops up, the title of your website pops up, and then this description that you see, the meta page titles, appears as well. So you want to write it in a way that makes sense for people to read, but include words that will make it easy for people to find you. Okay, so another thing that's important is conversion goals for an artist website. So what is a conversion goal? It's to convert people from finding your website online to becoming, following you and being on your newsletter. So you want to collect your visitors' email addresses. These are people, these people already have an interest in your art, so they're your best leads. It's great to send them monthly or quarterly updates about your new art shows and awards. So engage visitors on social media. You can invite visitors to like you on Facebook and Instagram, share your work on Pinterest, or tweet about you with placed buttons. You can tell I wrote this quite a while ago. But these are ways of getting people to engage with you, and that you can get their email addresses as well. So instead of just going to your website, they go to your website, go to your contact page, connect to your Facebook page, connect to your Instagram page, start following you on both of those platforms. And now you've converted them from just somebody that happened to come across your website to somebody that is going to follow you on social media. So here is some resources from Google Webmaster for guidelines for setting up your new site and how to follow Google's rules. List of 58 SEO resources, conversion optimization strategy. So again, here's a lot of resources for you. So do you have any questions about SEO that we talked about? Raise your hand. It's very technical. It's a little overwhelming. Yes, Caroline, go ahead and unmute.
Knowing a little bit about this from the art sales and marketing perspective, do you have any resources of people who are good freelancers who do this sort of thing?
Well, I don't know a freelancer that does SEO, but I do know a website designer, and she knows all this stuff. So her name is Sharon Reeves, and she's on the Artist Network website resource page.
Okay, and it's Reeves, R-E-E?
Yes, so let's go to that page and let's look for her right now, okay? So let's see, website design. I think it's Reeves Projects. Yes, here's website design and creation, Reeves Projects. And let me click on that. And this is her page. So Sharon Reeves, R-E-A-V-E-S. And I know I always recommend her for anybody who wants the website designed. And they always get good comments. and I know her and I trust her. So you can contact her and ask her if she can work on some SEO for you behind the scenes on your website. Okay,
Thank you.
any other questions before we move on? Yes, Diana, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hi, Stephen. So, with all of these, things you're showing us, do you advise people to create their own website using some of these, things you talked about, like,
Yes.
that I'm not familiar with, like Weebly and what, Carolyn has, Foss?
Yes, definitely. So back in the old days, you had to hire somebody to do it. And
Yeah,
so,
like I hired a guy in prison who went to prison.
yeah, and
At the
that's the
time I
story
didn't
I hear again. And,
know.
oh, he went on vacation for 2 weeks and he never responded and he never
Yeah.
updated my website. So it's much better to have a website where you can update it, add an image, change a title, whatever you need to do. So you can hire somebody to create the website for you in a platform that then you can then take over and manage and update on your own.
On your own. That's what I
Yeah.
would prefer to do. And now the technology is advanced enough that you don't have to know how to write code and do all of that stuff.
Right, so
Yeah.
I don't know code at all, and I
Yeah.
actually manage multiple different websites for different purposes, and I use Weebly for all of them. And so I'm really good at this one platform, and it's very easy for me to update and make changes.
So that would-
as an artist, you're making new artwork, you may make a new
Yeah.
piece every week. Well, you want to photograph that and add that to your website. So every
Absolutely.
week you want to update it and add that new piece.
So with Weebly, then that's something that's user-friendly for beginners. And then do they host your website or do you go separately to find a
You
host?
can have them host your website as well. I have one website that they do host, and I have another website that I have another host for that. So I'm going to show you real quick my
Sure.
Weebly. Let's see if it opens. This is SFHQ, San Francisco headquarters. This is Weebly. So this is all the actions, and this is the website. So let's just say I'm going to go to the contact page. And I go to the contact page. At the bottom of the contact page, I want to add a title. So I just take the block title and I pull it over, and then I type the title. And then, and you can see I'm just typing gibberish to save time. I want to center the title. I want to make it bold. I want to make it larger. So I've got all these little tools up here. Now I want to add an image, or let's say I want to add a gallery like we've been looking at. So I drag the gallery tool down there, and here's upload images. So I click on that and it goes to my computer and it goes to a file. And let's just say I'm going to add these 4 images, and it uploads each of those images.
Fantastic.
And just like that, so simple. And then I'm going, well, that looks odd to have one off. So I want to adjust it, and I want to have 4 columns. Or no, I want to have 2 columns. That looks better because they're bigger. You know, so it's so simple and easy. I want to put a dividing line between the title and the slideshow. I want to, here's retail. I want to add product. So I can put a retail block in there. So these are all things that I can just easily do so quick. Okay. And that's why I like Weebly. It's
how do you spell Weebly? W-E-E-B-L-Y?
That's correct.
Okay. Weebly. I'll have to check
Okay.
that out. Thank you.
Okay, so Caroline, you moved your
No,
hand.
there's several platforms like that, Squarespace, Weebly.
Yeah, I'm gonna list them.
Oh, you are? Okay,
Yeah,
good.
we're not finished yet.
Great, thank you.
Okay, okay, so let's go ahead and continue. So these are website domain hosting. So if you're gonna have somebody, if you need to buy a domain and you need somebody to host, these are resources that you can go to find the top 10 best website hosting, etc. So this is again in the PDF file that I'm going to send you. Then if you need to build your own website after you've bought the domain and you're hosting it, or these places also do that, you can use Canva, Shopify, Squarespace, Weebly, and Wix. These are ones that I know artists use and that I trust. But again, I think Weebly is the best one for reasons I already explained. Here's Reeves. So website design and creation, if you need somebody to work on your website, here's a link to Reeves website or Reeves projects. And then if you want more tips and suggestions about creating your website and building your portfolio website, there's Pixpa and website setup tips. Okay. So the last thing I want to do is you do all this work to set up your website, make it visible, make it beautiful, and attract people. Now you want galleries to come and look at your website online. So I'm going to address that. So you want to research and visit art galleries before approaching them. I know a gallery in Laguna Beach, and the owner said to me, Stephen, you wouldn't believe how many people send us emails wanting us to represent them. We are a plein air gallery. We only show plein air paintings, and we have artists that do graphic, figurative drawings, and just things that are just not appropriate that we would never consider. They apparently didn't do our research or their research, and they're wasting our time. So you want to find out the gallery submission policy and procedure if possible. You can go to their website, look at their contact page, or they may have a submission page and see if they have a policy. If there's not a policy, that means you can do anything within reason. If most of them don't have a policy on their websites anymore, or if they may say, we are not accepting unsolicited submissions at this time, which means do not email them. So if you're going to email the art gallery, you want to send them an email to briefly introduce yourself and your artwork to the art gallery director. The email should begin with a short introductory paragraph in which you describe who you are. So you can say, well, first you say, I visited your website in Laguna Beach last week and I was impressed with your collection of artists. I am a photographer from Palo Alto, and this is to introduce you to my most recent series of photographs. So you give them the purpose of sending your portfolio or link to your portfolio website. And you can highlight a few of your recent achievements from your artist resume. My work is included in such and such, or I won first place at the Del Mar Fair Art Contest in 2022. You may give a brief description of your work. I explored movement and nature through waterfalls and clouds. You should conclude with a link to your website, an open invitation to meet the director in person at the gallery. You ask for action. So I'd be happy to meet with you at your gallery, or you could visit me at my studio at your earliest convenience, or if you like, I can send additional materials if needed. So this is what you would send to a gallery. And you have a link to your website, a hot link. So all they do is click on your hot link and it will take them directly to your website. Okay. So I normally ask you to email me if you'd like a PDF file, but since it's just the three of you, I will automatically do that. So you don't need to worry about that. So the upcoming programs, for March, there's one more program, Rise Above the Crowd, Stand Out and Shine. In April, there's two programs, working with art consultants and interior designers and how to stand out in crowded social media. And then in May, there's Open Your Doors, Prepare for Your Open Studios. And then I take a break for the summer. We start out up again in September. And the first program in September is Start Spreading the News, Creating Effective Email Newsletters. So I have portfolio reviews that I host. And so in April, we have one in the 21st and on the 22nd, and you meet with 3 different gallerists and they give you feedback on your artwork and on the design of your website. And you meet 15 minutes with each one. So registration is now open for that. I do affordable one-on-one consultations via Zoom. So if we haven't worked together in the past, I'm doing a $99 first-time special, and I can help you jumpstart your artist career and develop strategies, goals, and action plans. And if you're an artist in California, there's the Quick Grant program that will reimburse artists up to $600 to work with mentors and coaches. So you can receive 4 one-hour sessions. So if you're interested in doing that, the application for each month is for the 15th. So the next date is April 15th to apply, and you get approved the following month. And so the activity can start the following month. So if you're interested in setting up 4 free one-hour sessions, email me and let me know. And then I'm in Mexico City, and I already have set up registrations for art and food tours next year in February of 2026. So you can enjoy Mexico City, go to the art fairs. I take you through different neighborhoods, and we visit galleries and have stops for food and lunch. And it's a lot of fun. So you can learn more about that. And then if you want to register for any of the programs like tonight, there's the sfartistnetwork.org. If you know of other artists that you think would benefit from these programs, please share the website link to the Artist Network programs with them or forward the emails to them. Okay. So I like to close each program with asking you for just feedback. So if you want to share with me one thing that you heard tonight that was important or new. So let's start with Diana. If you want to unmute yourself and just share with me one thing that you thought was like really important or new that you heard tonight.
Well, one thing that I thought was really important and new was creating your own website, feeling comfortable to do that.
Okay.
And how to, and just seeing all the samples of the other artists' websites. I've been out of touch for a while,
Okay, good. I'm glad that was helpful for
Yeah.
you. Thanks for sharing that. And thanks
Thank
for joining the program tonight. Caroline, if you want to unmute yourself and share with me one key takeaway from tonight's program.
Yes, your perspective on what a gallerist looks for and looking at a website. I had never thought of that before. Just how they're looking at it and what their concerns are. That's just a somewhat different perspective.
Yes.
And with your experience and background in doing this, because it is different. You need to know who your audience is, and you have several different audiences for a website. So that's important to cover that one if you're interested in attracting gallery folks, to know how they're looking at it. And so I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for sharing that, and thanks for joining the program tonight. So I hope to see everybody at future programs. Good night.